Here I am going to go over the Unit 1 review so that we can review the Unit 1 test. I want to spend some time going into detail for a couple of reasons. First, when we take a test, we have an opportunity to retake the test if we don't have the score we wanted or we thought we were capable of. Math is about growth. So if you didn't do as well as you wanted, you have an opportunity to fix it. And part of that process is reviewing the content that was on the test and the work that was put into it. Since this test was about solving equations and inequalities, I want to remind you that it's not about the answer. Yes, the answer is part of it, but really, what we want to see is the work that goes into getting the answer. So it is essential for you to show your work on each of these problems. So we're going to go through some of these, and you will see here we have 21 equals 8x plus 1 minus 4x. So if I am going to solve this problem, I'm not just going to put an answer in, but I'm going to go through my process. So remember, our first step is to simplify. And if I am going to simplify, that means I need to see if I can distribute, if I have any like terms that I can combine, or if I need to get my variables on the same side. Okay. After I go through those three things, then I need to undo my constants. And lastly, we're going to undo our coefficients. Okay, so with my equation, remember we have two sides, the left side and the right side. So let's see if we can simplify. On the left, I only have a 21, so I'm going to leave that alone. On the right, I have an 8x and minus 4x. These are like terms, so I am going to combine those. So 8x minus 4x, and then add in my 1. 8x minus 4x is 4x. So I have 4x plus 1. I only have x's on the right side of my equation, so I'm going to leave it there. I want to make sure that I can get that variable by itself. So now I've done the simplify process. Let's move on to undo the constants. My constant here is the number 1. I'm adding 1 currently, so I undo that by subtracting 1. So 21 minus 1 is 20, and then that equals my 4x. So we undid the constants. Now we are going to undo my coefficient. 4 is my coefficient because it is in front of the x. So now I'm going to divide both sides by 4. So we get x equals 20 divided by 4, which is 5. Remember, you can always double check your work by substituting into the equation. So 21 equals 8 times 5 plus 1 minus 4 times 5. And so then we have 21 equals 40 plus 1. Oops, not equals, but minus 20. 21 equals 41 minus 20. 21 equals 21. So our solution works. So that's what I'm going to put in here. I'm going to type in 5, and then we are going to check our answer. And there we go. Remember those 3 steps because that's what we are going to do in the next equation. We are going to rewrite the equation. 2 times the quantity, 5x plus 6, equals negative 29 plus 11. So going through the steps, simplify. We can simplify in this equation by distributing the 2 that is in front of my parentheses. So I get 2 times 5x, which is 10x, plus 2 times 6, which is 12. And then we have negative 29 plus 11. Okay, so now we look for like terms. Well, negative 29 and 11 are like terms. So we have 10x plus 12 equals negative 18 because negative 29 plus 11, we're going to do 29 minus 11, and the 29 carries more weight. That's the sign we keep. So now I will subtract 12 from both sides so we undo our constant. So 10x equals negative 30. Now we undo our coefficient by dividing. Be careful when you divide. If you are using a calculator, we will take the numerator divided by the denominator. So negative 30 divided by 10 is negative 3. Again, you can double check that by substituting into your equation, or in this instance, since this is a practice, you can substitute in, check your answer, and get your well done. Okay? That is question 3 of 13. Let's look at one that's a little bit harder. 3 over 10 x minus 2 over 5 equals negative 1. I am going to simplify this one a little bit differently because to simplify this, I'm going to get rid of my fractions. I look at my denominators, 10 and 5. 10 is a number that is divisible by 10 and by 5. So what I'm going to do is distribute to my numerators and across the equal sign. So I keep my balance. 10 times 3 is 30 over 10x minus 10 times 2 is 20 over 5 equals 10 times negative 1 is negative 10. 30 over 10 reduces to 3, so we have 3x. 20 over 5 reduces to 4, and then we bring down our negative 10. Now this equation is a lot like the previous one. We can undo our constant by adding 4 to both sides. So 3x equals negative 6. And then we can undo our coefficient by dividing both sides by 3. And we get x equals negative 6 divided by 3, which is negative 2. So I'm going to type that in, check my answer, and we've got it. All right. So do you see how what I am doing here is a lot more than just answers only? We are taking the equation. I think that's a 4q. So we have 12 plus 4q equals 17 plus 3q. So in this one, I'm going to simplify first. No, nothing to distribute, no like terms, but I do have variables on each side. So what I am going to do is get my variables together. I'm going to subtract 3q from both sides. So now on the left, I have 12 plus 4q minus 3q is 1q. And on the right side, we have 17. Now I'm going to undo my constant. It is a positive 12. I am going to undo that positive 12 by subtracting 12. And now I have q, because 1q is the same as q, equals 17 minus 12, which is 5. So once I have that, I can type in my answer. I can check it, and we're good to go. All right, but we need to see the work, so please be sure to show that to us. All right, a little bit more complex. Let's do this. It says, which of these is correct? Is this an equation that has one solution, it equals a specific number, or does it have infinitely many solutions, so all real numbers, or is there no solution? And the only way to do this is to simplify first. So let's take some time to take that 8 times the quantity x minus 1 minus 8 equals 3x plus 5 times the quantity negative 4 plus x. So there's a lot to simplify here. I'll move my face. All right, so I need to distribute this 8. So I have 8x minus 8 minus 8 equals 3x. Here I'm going to distribute this 5 to the negative 4 and to the x. So minus 20 plus 5x. And now we're going to go through and combine our like terms. So on the left, we have negative 8 and negative 8. And if I combine those, I get negative 16. So 8x minus 16 equals. On the right side, I have 3x and 5x, which adds up to 8x. And then I have my minus 20. Okay, so we distributed, and we are going to combine like terms, which we did, and now we are going to get our x's on the same side. So I have an 8x on the right that I am going to move to the left. So I am going to subtract 8x from both sides. Well, 8x minus 8x zeroes out, and we have 16 remaining on the left, negative 16, and 8x minus 8x zeroes out, and we have negative 20 remaining on the right. And that is a false statement. So what does that mean? The question here is asking, how many solutions do we have? Solve for x, and then select the correct choice and fill in the box if we need to. So if we had x equals a number, then we would put that number in here, but we don't. If we had the same thing on both sides of our equation, then we would select all real numbers or infinitely many solutions. However, we have different things on each side of the equation, and we no longer have a variable. So our solution here is that there is no solution because there's nothing that will make this equation true. So if I check that, it works, and all we needed to do was simplify the equation. Our next example is a literal equation. We have I equals P R T, and this is asking us to solve for R. So what I am going to do is look at this and ask myself, how can I get R by itself? Hopefully we recognize that the operation between consecutive letters like this is multiplication, and I can undo multiplication using division. If you want to, you can divide by both P and T in the same step, but maybe you just want to divide by P to start. So we have I over P equals R times T. Okay, we can divide again by T because we want the R by itself. We're already dividing here, so I'm just going to continue to divide, and we get R equals I divided by PT. And that's what I'm going to type in here. I divided by RT. I mean PT. Ooh, I know my letters. There we go. So all we're doing here is rearranging the equation. Same thing for this one. If I have x minus 3y equals 10, and I want to solve this equation for y, I need to move the x and I need to undo that negative 3. So let's do that. I am going to subtract x from both sides of my equation. X minus x zeroes out, and I have negative 3y equals negative x plus 10. To get my y by itself, I need to undo that multiplication by dividing. Now here, make sure you take your sign with you. The sign matters when we're multiplying and dividing, so make sure you take that with. If I want, I can break this up so I have negative x over negative 3 plus 10 over negative 3, and then a negative over a negative is positive, and hopefully this will start to look familiar to you as our slope-intercept form. Woo! Getting us ready for topic 2. So I'm going to type this in as 1/3 x minus 10/3 and check my answer. There we go. All right. Now we're going to, I'm going to skip this one because we didn't put this one on the test, but I want to look at the inequalities with you. And actually, I'm going to stop this video here and we'll make a second one for inequalities. All right, see you soon.